Hello everyone, I'm the Generation Y conservative, and yesterday we went over the details of CPAC 2016. Today we're going to be talking about the first candidate up in the GOP race. He's huge. He's a winner. That's Donald Trump, and we're about to talk about him right now. If you've been watching the debates, you've been hearing a lot about Donald Trump and eminent domain. Now there's a difference between public and private eminent domain. In the debates, Donald Trump was talking a lot about how the government takes over properties to help pave the way for bridges, roads, and public hospitals. But that's not what we're talking about here. The candidates were actually pressing him on issues of private eminent domain. That's things like the old woman in Vegas who he tried to kick out of her house so that he could put a limousine parking spot in for one of his casinos. In a documentary released in 2010 called You've Been Trumped, it went over the details of Donald Trump trying to use this same type of principle to kick Scottish farmers off of the seaside to help put in one of his famous golf courses. He lavished them in gifts and he tried to butter them up with all types of perks and everything else. But in the end, when they refused to go along with his plans, he actually resorted to calling them pigs and worse.
I look at Mr. Forbes and his disgusting conditions in which he lives, and that people have to look at that. And it's about time that somebody spoke out. It's almost like, in fact, it is like a slum-like condition. For people to have to look at this virtual slum is a disgrace.
You'll find when you're pushing Donald Trump on key issues like Bush did in the one debate in regards to the old lady in Vegas, he resorts to calling you a tough guy. Oh, we got a tough guy over here.
What Donald Trump did was use eminent domain to try to take the property of an elderly woman on the Strip in Atlantic City. That is not public purpose. That is downright wrong. And here's the problem with that.
All right, okay.
The problem was it was to tear down. It was to
Jeb
tear
wants
down.
to be. He wants to be a tough guy. He wants to be a tough guy
It was
tonight.
to tear down
I didn't
the
take
house,
the property.
and the net
I
result
didn't.
was you tried.
I didn't
and
take
you
the
lost
property.
in the court.
The woman ultimately didn't want to do that.
That is not true.
And
the
it was
simple
great that
fact
I
is,
didn't.
to turn this into a limousine parking lot for his casinos is not a public use. And in Florida, based on what we did, we made that impossible. It is part of our Constitution. That's the better approach. That is the conservative approach.
Mr. Trump, take 30 seconds.
Let me just, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times, you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk.
That's what happens when you try pushing Donald Trump and you're actually hitting him with the facts. He resorts to name calling and demeaning. I don't know about the rest of you, but I happen to believe that a president should be a role model for not only everyone, but specifically small children that are aspiring to get into politics one day. For me, I have 3 daughters, and I would refuse to ever bring one of them, or any of them, to any public event where Donald Trump is speaking. He has a foul mouth and is a rude person.
He hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
One of the things that Donald Trump keeps on pushing is that he is not a politician and he's an outsider. But I can tell you something. If you've been donating to campaigns on either side of the aisle, and he has, on Democrats and Republicans for the past 3 decades, you are in politics. You are deep into politics and you've taken both sides, and we don't know where you stand anymore. I want to take a minute here to talk to my evangelical friends, because I know for a lot of people, they're looking for good Christian principles in a president. Donald Trump says that he keeps his Bible and those that are sent to him, which have apparently been thousands of Bibles, in a secret, safe place.
Do you actively go to church, or is that something that it's more just when you can?
Right. Well, I go as much as I can, always on Christmas, always on Easter, always when there's a major occasion. And during the Sundays, I'm a Sunday church person, I'll go when I can.
Mm-hmm. The Bibles. I understand a lot of people send you Bibles. Is that true?
Well, I get sent Bibles by a lot of people.
Where are all those Bibles anyhow now?
Well, actually, we keep them in a certain place, a very, very nice place.
What kind of Christian doesn't keep his Bibles around him, whether it's even just on a nightstand or somewhere in the house as a coffee table book? When pressed in an interview about what his favorite verses are from the Bible, Donald Trump said,
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible... The whole Bible is an incredible... I joke... very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time.
The point of the word is that you share it. You share it to as many people as possible because it's not some private club. It's something that you want everyone to get in touch with so that they can have a connection with Jesus for the ultimate gift, which is being with him in heaven. What kind of Christian resorts to the type of mockery and rude behavior that Donald Trump has?
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This was 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
That reporter he is talking about is Serge Kovaleski, who now works for the New York Times. As you can see right there, he suffers from a chronic condition that impairs movement of his arms.
And by the way, I don't like this mic. Whoever the hell bought this mic system, don't be the son of a bitch to put it in, I'll tell you. These people. No, this mic is terrible. Stupid mic keeps popping. Do you hear that, George? Don't pay him. Don't pay him. You know, I believe in paying. But when somebody does a bad job, like this stupid mic, you shouldn't pay the best, sir.
A year ago, you told me on my radio show, the audio and the transcript are out there on YouTube, that you would release your tax returns. True. Are you going back on your
No, I'm not.
commitment?
First of all, very few people listen to your radio show. That's the good news. Let me just tell you. Which happens to be true. Check out the ratings. Don't worry about it, Don't worry about it, little Marco.
Of all the things that you've seen, can you honestly tell me that his behavior is anywhere close to Christian? Little Marco, Ted is a liar, Bush is a tough guy. I mean, he keeps on going on making fun of the handicapped reporter and everything else. This is a non-stop string of demeaning behavior that is definitely not Christian. You know, if there's one thing that all Christians have in common, it's that when they have come to Jesus, it's because they have repented. They have asked for forgiveness from God. When asked if Donald Trump has repented at all, he said,
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture.
You're a sinner. All of us are sinners. It doesn't matter. The best Christian in the world right now is a sinner. We all have to repent. That is part of the plan to come to Jesus. You, sir, are not a Christian. As I mentioned before, I happened to be at CPAC last week. Dr. Ben Carson showed up, John Kasich showed up, Ted Cruz showed up, and Marco Rubio showed up. I mean, Dr. Ben Carson showed up to let everyone know that he's no longer in the race. You know who didn't show up? Donald Trump. And he was actually scheduled to. Of the hundreds of fans that showed up to see Donald Trump and paid hundreds of dollars, he slapped them in the face by not showing up. Rumor has it that Donald Trump refused to show up because he heard that a lot of people in the audience were booing his name when he was mentioned by other candidates and speakers as not being a conservative. Well, I have some news for you. If you refuse to show up to a conservative convention, you're not conservative. If anything, you should be trying to convince those conservatives that you're conservative. And on that point, yesterday, he was on Sean Hannity's radio program and asked specifically in regards to the people that say that he is not conservative. When asked about that, he said, oh, I'm very conservative. And Sean Hannity said, well, tell me about how conservative you are in areas. Well, when it comes to the military, I'm very conservative. When it comes to healthcare, I'm very conservative. When it comes to this and that, I'm very conservative. He doesn't ever go into any plans or details on anything. Saying you're conservative does not make you a conservative. Hillary Clinton, who's one of the biggest liars on the face of the earth today, could sit there and say, I'm very conservative as well. That doesn't make you a conservative. You know, I've asked a lot of my friends that are Trump supporters to give me details of his plans, because the only plan I seem to hear about the most is about the border and building a wall and having Mexico apparently pay for it. But when you ask about healthcare or the economy or anything else, he says he's got winning plans and he has great people involved. The hell does that mean? doesn't mean anything. You don't have any details for your plans at all. And the Trump supporters certainly can't give those details either. And if they do, they're coming up with them for the types of policies and details that they want. They can't attribute it to Trump because he doesn't ever give the detail. I'm going to close with this. Donald Trump is a fraud and a phony. He's certainly not Christian, and he's definitely not a conservative. And if I have anything to do with it, the only way I can get out there and help with this cause is to help let more and more people realize that when you look deeper into who Donald Trump is, I mean, certainly go check out Donald Trump the Movie or TrumpTheMovie.com and actually see another documentary that was made that he tried to have silenced for over the past 2 decades. The only way I can get out there and help right now is by spreading the word that he is not a conservative and he's the biggest phony in the race right now, even opposed to Hillary Clinton. If these two go head to head, we're looking at one more election where we have to choose from the lesser of two evils. I don't know about you, but I'm looking for the candidate that I can actually vote for. Until next time, I'm the Generation Y conservative. Thanks.